Welcome back. You're watching The Front Row, and today we are taking a discussion around choosing a career path. This is mainly targeting our Form 4 leavers who are right now in a transition season on what courses should they take for those who performed well and to those who performed also averagely. What lies ahead? That has been our discussion here on The Front Row. Remember to engage with us on our social media handles at KT News KE. You can also tag me along at Agina Abi, and our hashtag for this conversation is Front Row. I'd like us to engage with Dr. Wahome, who is representing the very important institution that handles placement of students upon them clearing their high school learning. Dr. Wahome, we'd like to just engage with you to also get a sense of the various courses that have seen traditionally a good number of students taking up, and what are some of the trends in regards to emerging careers?
Thank you very much. We have two major responsibilities as COOPs. One is to coordinate placement of government-sponsored students, and the other one is to provide career guidance. Now, when it comes to career guidance, we have seen that a lot of schools, a lot of
Carry on, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of echo that is not very interesting.
Apologies for the technical hitch there. But you can proceed, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, yes, when we are doing career guidance, we find in a lot of schools we have career teachers who unfortunately are not well prepared or well trained to provide this service. So they tend to direct the students along the traditional careers. If it's an A student, then they have to do medicine or engineering or law. And probably that's not what the student is interested in, has no passion or even has no interest in that field. So the beginning is, can we know what does the child want? What are they good at? Yeah?
Correct.
So we have a lot of careers. On our platform, we have over 500 courses that students can take at the university. But we are finding there are some courses that are not popular, not because they are not good or they are not marketable, is because the students are not guided, they are not aware of the courses or even the careers that align to those courses. A good example is marine courses that are around the marine area. We have aquaculture that students are not picking, not because there is no market. We are actually importing fish from China, but it's because it's not known. So there are a lot of areas that students can go in at certificate level all the way to degree level. We are also seeing careers around ICT. You know, students are just going for computer science, but there is a lot under that ICT area that they can go into, all the way to even working around music, combining music and ICT, that students can even go into self-employment right from college.
All right, quite interesting. And just still staying on with you, Dr. Wahome, as you've touched on the guidebook that you've been able to launch into the market, how has this changed the manner in which the area of career choice has been impacted? Are we seeing people making the right choices based on the grades and also the aspirations of the children?
The career book is very helpful. Let me say it has made a big difference because one, it starts by getting the, discussing what is career planning, the areas that one should consider when doing career planning. And like I mentioned, this is areas where they find they are good at in terms of their performance. They have an interest in terms of their talents also, if they're in the area of sports. So it helps you look for careers in what you are good at. It also allows the students to have a range of the different careers that are in the market. The subject combinations that these students need to take, we emphasize career guidance should start very early. You find in Form 1 and Form 2, that's where the students are choosing their subjects. So the subject combination, if you're doing, if you want to do engineering, for example, you have to take physics. We are finding schools that find physics is a little too difficult for, let me give an example of a girls' school. They encourage them to do something else. When you have a whole class not taking physics, it means you have no engineers from that school, which is really, really unfortunate. So the book actually brings out the details in terms of subject combination and then the different categories of subjects. We have the languages where they can choose English or Kiswahili. We have Maths A, Maths B. So there is the Group 3, Group 4, and Group 5. And then it goes to the next level to tell you, for this career, which group combinations do you need? That links to our portal that gives us more on the clusters. We have Cluster 1 to Cluster 23. Where now you look at which subjects combine with which cluster. Then from there, the book goes further and tells you, if you got an E, where can you start in a certain line, for example, in the field of agriculture, which unfortunately we are not getting many students going into that area. Yet, we are a country that relies heavily on agriculture. We are an exporter. So if you had an E, we have courses around plumbing that can help you with the study of irrigation, how to do the irrigation systems, and we have colleges that are offering that. We have, courses that are certificate on horticulture and the different institutions that offer these courses. At certificate level, again, we have a lot of courses in the area of horticulture, and then at degree level. The book also tells you, once you've done these courses,
all right.
Then where are the possible areas of finding employment?
Quite extensive. Thank you, Dr. Ahome. And it speaks to the realities on the ground that there's a plethora of courses that one can take. And it takes me back to Professor Odhiambo in regards to taking this discussion forward. And I know you are a family man with 11 children, like you mentioned earlier, and quite a host of them have been able to undertake various courses, and I'm seeing an inclination towards technical courses as well as the sciences. Perhaps talk to the parents who are caught in between, because you have the dream that you want your child probably to be an engineer or a doctor. But the grades they got, they might not be able to get to that career that you have always wanted them to take. They are now torn between taking them for bridging courses at some point. Others are saying the child let them down. And how do you transition this and ensure we get a win-win situation where the child takes center stage?
Thank you very much again. Before going to Meru, I was a Deputy Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs in JKU for 10 years. And one of my saddest graduations was when one parent, a lady like Dr. Wahome, came to me after graduation. I used to do graduation real time and they get the certificates the next day. She came and told me, Professor, my son has deserted the house. She came and gave me the certificates that you gave him and told me, take your certificates, I'm going to start my life again. Now what happened was the parent insisted that that is the course you have to do. And so the child, being very obedient to the parent, had to do it. And then after that, he took the certificate to the parent and then went to start his life like the prodigal son in the Bible. What I'm telling you, dear parents, ours is to guide, ours is to role model, but start with the child also to know what they like. My son right now in Standard 5, Ebenezer, I'm sure they are watching me from the house.
He's the 11th born.
No, this is the 9th born.
All right.
We've been telling him we want to do this, but when you see him, what he does, most of the time he likes opening the cars, he wants to do what, and you start getting the interest. And you as a parent, it's really your role to start knowing what that child do, and you model them like this. And I think that is very important. I'm a trained teacher, and one of the things my colleagues here, Marion, we are taught is that when you go to class, and even as we are surrogate parents, is really not to look at the students that come to the class as tabula rasa. They are empty-minded. They don't know anything. The children are sharp. My son, the junior son, who is called Junior, named after me, Roma, in Standard 1, the other time he told me, Dad, are you really sure you are a professor? You mean you don't know how to operate your phone? You get this? They have this.
All right.
And I think it is very important for the parent really to get that buy-in from their children. Don't look at them, they are just children. Yes, show them the path, and sometimes even to the extent that, you know, where you are going, I've already passed. But also do that with the understanding and feeling and knowledge that they also have their aspirations. They also have their vision in life. And yours as a parent is really to try to see how to bridge that. Thank you.
Quite interesting. And Madam Marion, of course, this also opens up a new discussion. This is on the emerging careers that we have, that people traditionally don't believe that you could have a career, say, like in social media. It's becoming an area of interest. We are seeing different facets of ICT, different facets of engineering, communications, you know. Perhaps talk to us around the changing workplace, and why should parents be also adaptive when they hear their child saying, I want to do mechatronics?
Yeah, exactly. Because again, when some of us were joining universities, there were the traditional courses of, medicine, law, education, which, parents would guide their children to get into. But right now we are in a changing world, and especially because of technology, there are many careers that are coming up at the moment. And maybe I can give an example of journalism. The journalism of today is not the journalism of 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So it's important for us to be able to adapt and see, what is going on in the world, especially in terms of technology. And again, you find that again with technology, it's become easy for our children to be exposed, to have that exposure, and know exactly what kind of a career that they're getting themselves into. And when they work hand in hand with their parents, with their guardians, and with their teachers, then it becomes easy for them to make a choice that is suitable for them, something that they are passionate about, and not really something that they're being forced into. You've talked of careers such as social media, and maybe like my parents, they might wonder what kind of a career is this. But when they are educated in this area, when they have some knowledge, then it becomes easy for them to see that this is a successful career path that maybe my son or my daughter should get into.
All right.
Yes.
And Dr. Wahome, I'd like to pick your mind on this discussion in regards to the emerging careers, and of course talk to us about the changing workplace. What sort of areas are developing in the country? Are universities innovating enough?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the workplace is really, really changing. I remember when I started working, the concept was you have your own office, you have a secretary, and you have a typewriter. And then the computer came in, and secretaries kind of were phased out. Now we are moving into, then we moved into spaces where, the open plan offices, and now we are at the level of working from home. So clearly, as we move along, we have people who are kind of getting redundant because we now don't need secretaries. With time, we'll not need office assistants when we are working from home. So as we choose our careers, we need to also look at, the direction the world is going into. In the world of medicine, now with the emerging diseases, COVID being a good case in point, we see the need for people to study more, the need for a lot of research around health issues. So as we choose our careers, we need to start thinking, will I be relevant in some years to come? I think it's important to mention that as we are nurturing the children to choose their careers, the big question is, how do I know what this child actually wants to be? If I'm a parent, how do I assist the child? Giving them small skills, small responsibilities at home, you would be able to tell what kind of a child this is. For example, you can tell a child who is impatient, and therefore you start thinking what careers, does this child exhibit in terms of characteristics. There are those who like pulling things apart. I remember I have a son who would really pull out things, the iron box, and we kept saying, why are you doing this and these things are not spoiled? And he kept saying, I want to see what is inside. You can already see somebody who enjoys working with gadgets, an inquisitive mind to find out what is inside, very comfortable with wires, so you can already tell this is an engineer in the making. Children who are interested in supporting others, helping. There are those who are good at singing. So there are things you can start picking, and then at another level start exposing them to workplaces. Get them to visit a hospital, and you see if this child actually can't even stand the sight of blood, why force them to go into medicine even if they're an A student? They may be good at music and arts, where people think that's the field for those who have C's and D's. So walking along with the children and giving them responsibilities, exposing them to careers, getting them to have mentors, people in the careers that they wish to get into, then you identify somebody in that career that can start talking to this child, so that by the time they are getting to choose their courses at the university, a child is clear in the direction they want to take.
All right.
And I keep saying your grades really do not determine your end. Personally, I have moved from health sciences to social sciences and research, which is the area I enjoy most.
All right. Excellent pointers there. And Professor Odhiambo, many a time you find the thin line between a career that is well-paying or a career that will be satisfying to the child. And in the realities of today, people want careers that have stable outcomes, in the sense that it's not saturated, where it will be easy to get a job and your entry level will be, of course, good package. Of course, this feeds into some of the choices that see parents drive their children towards. I'd like to get your philosophy on this.
Thank you, Agina. That's the reality that, as Marion and Waume there were talking about, that when we grew up, we are not young people. We are people 60s, 50s, 70s. There were only traditional courses. And that's what people look at. That if I go train to be an engineer, then the job is assured. That used to be there in the 60s and 70s and 80s. Today, some engineers are bankers. You know this?
Yes.
Some engineers are
procurement managers.
Are administrators like me. Some engineers are procurement managers. Let me tell you, some doctors are basically running NGOs. They are not treating people. So there are all those kind of things. I think what Waume there had said, let's go for the person. I personally trained as a graduate teacher, no apology, a teacher of mathematics. And I enjoy that up to today. Even this morning I was meeting some of my students doing PhD under me. I enjoy that. It satisfies me. The money inakuja, nilianza kazi, I started work when I was supposed to be earning 500 shillings, and I used to be paid 50 shillings per month. Today, I'm a CEO in this country, I earn over 1 million. The money comes. Did you get that?
Yes.
But what is important is the satisfaction. And for the young people and the parents, like now the Form 4 came the other time, and we were with Waume today in the Vice Chancellor's meeting. Next week is starting to admit students in the universities. By July, it's done. What we need to do, the students, Magoa announced the results a long time ago. We need to get these students, as my friend Dr. Waume says, be exposed and start planning their career. But very importantly, as a university administrator and educator in this country, please, jobs can be there, they are also not there. You need some additional skills. Like now the children are at home. Yesterday, I was struggling with my daughter to go and learn how to drive, to go and do a certified public secretariat course, because he's planning to be a lawyer. She also told me, Dad, I also want to do a computerized secretariat. Did you get this? These are small things. Let me talk like a Kenyan. They are very important that you don't waste your time at Mary University of Science and Technology. I keep on telling my students in the 8 schools, and please, I welcome you to our website in Mary University of Science and Technology, so that you see the programs that I do in my 8 schools. I tell them, when you are free, also have some side academic hustling. That's the language Kenyans use today.
Yeah.
Do something little, so that by the time you are going outside there, there's something besides that. I would like really to encourage young people to think about this. Time has come that me as a mathematician, by the way, I'm also a pastor, I preach. In fact, I want to go for another certificate course in theology, because you need also that, so that you work well. The people who are going to be sellable outside there are not unidirectional people like an engineer, like a mathematician. You must also have other skills.
Soft skills.
So I encourage young people and the parents, don't allow these people at Mary University of Science and Technology. My students, and there are very few parents, I hope you are listening to me, and young people, I hope you are listening to me. We are not having enough students taking agriculture, not just in Mary University of Science and Technology, but the whole country. But in the morning you eat, at 10 you take tea, at 1 you take lunch, at now you take supper. This is agriculture. What we are doing in Meru University of Science and Technology, we are encouraging students to come and do agriculture, but in a new way, a resilient technology in agriculture, a smart agriculture.
Thank you, Professor.
And we are really welcoming you guys to come and do this kind of thing. Thank you.
All right. Very elaborate there. And I'd like us to go on a commercial break. When we come back, we'll be shifting gears a bit and engaging Madam Mariam further to just get an understanding of the innovation that universities are doing, including Riara University, which is keen on expanding its journalism school. She'll be talking to us about this, as well as some of the trends that have continued to defy the various areas of academia in the country. This is The Front Row. We'll be back after this break.